Separated by just 6 games in the National League East, there's no better time than now for the Braves to break out against the first-place Nationals. Tonight, Atlanta's Shelby Miller and his all-star caliber stuff goes to the mound opposite Washington's Jordan Zimmermann in a rematch of last week's pitchers' duel at Nationals Park. It's game 1 of a crucial 3-game series as the all-star game draws near. It's the Nationals and Braves from Turner Field next. It's game day indeed here in Atlanta. Boy, it's great to be back at Turner Field. A long 6-game homestand for the Braves before we make one more trip. And then it's the All-Star break. It's an important series, by the way. The Braves play host to the first-place Washington Nationals as we kick off a 3-game set tonight. Hi again, friends. Joe and Chip. Great to be back here at the ballpark and a chance to gain ground on the Washington Nationals. Last time we saw the Nats, they're in the midst of that historic scoreless streak by their starting staff. One of them was Jordan Zimmermann. He's got the ball in game 1 tonight.
Yeah, he was outstanding up there, too. These two pitchers hooked up, and it was a beautiful game to watch. Jordan Zimmermann went 8 shutout innings, but he got a no decision because a run was scored in the 9th inning to tie the game. Heads up play here to get Cameron Maybin, who was trying to get into scoring position a little too early, but he pitched a great ball game, got a little help from his defense, and he, despite the fact that he's just 5-5 on the year, he's always pitched well against the Braves. He will be tough tonight. There's the start. The 3 starts against the Braves this year. His record 1-0 again with an excellent ERA.
But Atlanta counters with its ace. Shelby Miller gets the ball for Atlanta. And Joe, it's hard to believe as well as Shelby has pitched, he hasn't won a game in a long, long time for Atlanta.
Well, I thought this start in Washington was as dominant a start as he's had since that game. In fact, the last win he had when he threw the near no-hitter down in Miami. This game, he was on top of things. He was dominant with his fastball. He had a good slider working to the right-handers. He was outstanding. Let's hope that the last 7 starts are not going to be anything like tonight. He can get back in the win column. It's been a long time between drinks for him.
Shelby Miller is going to be an all-star, don't you think?
I think so.
Should be an all-star. Hopefully he has an all-star performance tonight for Atlanta as the Braves try to start this series with the Nationals in proper fashion. When we come back, we'll indeed check out whether or not Shelby Miller will be considered all-star worthy. Braves country knows the answer to that, and we'll confirm it for you after a quick break.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Baseball is presented by your Atlanta area Mazda dealers. Driving matters.
And welcome back to Turner Field, where the Braves begin a crucial series against the Washington Nationals tonight to try to stay in the hunt in the NL East. Shelby Miller gets the ball tonight to try and continue his dominance and, more importantly, continue his ways of giving the Braves a chance to stay in the game and get a win. As we take a look at Shelby's numbers on the year, an ERA under 2 is third best in MLB. ERA at home, fourth best. An opponent average of 200 is fifth best in the league. And the question is Shelby Miller an all-star this season? Well, his teammates think so.
I would say doing my own ballot, there's exactly 5 starting pitchers that I would think are locks, and he's one of them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every time he goes on the mound, you know you got a chance no matter who you're facing. So, I mean, hopefully he keeps it going and we score some runs for him.
I think he's pitched like an all-star. I know in the last 4 or 5 starts he hasn't gotten wins, but he has really pitched as an all-star.
We saw a pitcher's duel between Shelby Miller and Jordan Zimmerman just 5 days ago. Tonight, the Braves hope to get the bats hot against the Nationals and get Shelby Miller and the team a win. We'll have lineups and first pitch after the break.
It's beautiful baseball night in Atlanta. And Shelby Miller making his warm-up tosses as the Braves welcome the first-place Nationals to town. And Denard Span leads off their Academy Sports starting 9 with Danny Espinosa batting and playing second. Escobar and Harper, a deadly tandem, third and fourth. Wilson Ramos behind the plate. Clint Robinson at first. Ian Desmond, the shortstop. Michael Taylor's in left. And Jordan Zimmerman will pitch and bat ninth against Shelby Miller, who's third in the National League in earned run average.
16th start of the year for Shelby. 5 career starts against Washington, including one last week. 2-0, 0.85 ERA. Thank you. 2 strikeouts for every 1 walk. He's been outstanding. That last start, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. His 4 keys to pitching success: same old, same old. Don't change a thing. He was dominant, primarily because of his good fastball, throwing harder last week against the Nationals than he had in probably his previous 5 outings. And no Rendon tonight. He only gave up 3 hits against the Nats, 2 to Rendon, who's on the DL.
With a bad quad, so that's good news for Atlanta. As Shelby Miller turns it loose and we're underway. 86 degrees at the ballpark. Gentle breeze blowing out towards center as Miller goes to work, and Span a little late and fouled it away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bernard Span's having himself quite a month. He's been on base in 15 of the 20 games this month, and he's reached base in 19 straight games for Washington. He hasn't played all of them. He's been sidelined a couple of times with a bad back. And he laces one into left field for a leadoff single. So Span, 12 hits against the Braves this year. Gets things started in good fashion for the Nationals.
Well, we've talked about this a lot, Chip, and that wasn't even a strike. Nice piece of hitting. But the fact that the Nationals put a lot of pressure on the Braves early, they score early, they have the Braves under the gun, put the pitchers under the gun. Hopefully not the same tonight.
And when we were in Washington, 1 run was enough for Washington to win those games because their starting pitching was so good. And an incredible stretch of 48 consecutive scoreless innings pitched by their starters. And that included the 3 games played between the Braves and Nationals up in Washington.
Well, this guy's no slouch against Atlanta. You see Espinosa's numbers for the year, but he's hitting .433 against the Braves this year. So he's been a good backup for their infield when they've had some guys go down.
1 ball, no strikes. And that's hit hard toward the gap in left center field, and that's going to get up against the fence. Span around second, on his way to third. The ball died at the base of the wall, and Span's going to score without a throw. It's 1-0 Washington. So here we go again. First inning runs. 2 hitters, 2 hits, and 1-0 Nationals.
Down and away, not a bad pitch. Another piece of good hitting. Espinosa right on top of the plate, had that covered, and he continues to terrorize Atlanta.
His 6th RBI against the Braves this year. And now you've got to face the 4th best hitter and the 3rd best hitter average wise in the league in back-to-back spots in the Washington lineup. Yunel Escobar at .324 for the year. And that's fouled away, a strike. It is said that from a pitching standpoint, the most difficult assignment is to face the same team in back-to-back starts. Miller's had some first inning trouble tonight. Let's hope Jordan Zimmerman has similar troubles when he pitches in the first inning.
A lot of that has to do with if you had success, can you repeat that success, or are the hitters going to make adjustments? I remember Tom Glavine saying to us in similar outings, he said, why change? If something worked, why change? Make the hitters change. So far tonight, they've hit a couple of good pitches.
That's rolled towards short. Simmons thought about a play at third. The wise play was to first. Espinosa in at third base. There's the first out for Bryce Harper. A time for our Braves defensive lineup brought to you by CPI Security. Kelly Johnson, Cameron Maven, Nick Markakis ring the outfield. Tardoslavich at first, Uribe at third, Simmons and Peterson up the middle, and A.J. Przinsky is the batter. Here's Bryce Harper. He's hitting .339. That's 3rd in the league. 24 homers, 58 knocked in. We are not yet at the halfway point. Double those Harper numbers. That tells you what eye-popping work he might have on the back of the bubblegum card at the end of this year.
Braves pitched him pretty tough up in Washington. He was only 2 for 9 in that series. Sat out 1 game. But Shelby's been mighty tough on cleanup hitters all year long. Just a 116 mark against him. Best in the major leagues.
Well, that's a big run to keep off the board. If he can get Bryce Harper, it would be the 2nd out of the inning. Infield in already for the Braves. 0-1 count. And Gabe Morales said that was off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Took a little off there. Might have been a 2-seamer. Infield in because you know runs are going to come at a premium tonight. So why give them one?
"59 strikeouts for Harper this year. 55 walks. He's behind in the count here. 1-2. And he just struck out. That's the thing you love about Shelby Miller. He can hump it up to 96 and 97 when he needed to. And he did just there.
Yeah, and had a little hop on that one.
So Harper's retired. Espinosa still at third. And here's Wilson Ramos. This is another national that the Braves have had trouble retiring. Ramos 11 for 27 against the Braves this year.
He went after some fastballs against Shelby in Washington, including some that were upstairs. One that was helmet high that comes to mind, that he was trying to catch up to that fastball and didn't.
Two balls, no strikes for the Washington catcher. That's to the screen foul. 2 balls and a strike. Ramos had a 3-hit game against the Braves on June 23rd. That Washington won 3-1. That was the ball game started by Alex Wood. He matched up with Steven Strasburg, who threw 5 very effective innings against the Braves. Miller ready. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and it's back up the middle and into center field. A 2-out hit. That's the 8th first-inning run that Washington has scored against the Braves this year, and that's a big run. It's 2-0 with 2 outs.
Fastball right there. He pounded it right into the ground and had enough on it to get it through. Ramos hitting .407, as you said, on the year against Atlanta, just added to that.
So it's 2-0 Nationals. Here's Clint Robinson. Robinson playing first base for an injured Ryan Zimmerman.
You know, when the first place team has dominated play between you and them for the year, Nationals lead the series 8-1, and they come in and get 2 in the first, it's like they just kind of popped you in the nose and said, you know, it's going to be more of the same, boys, get used to it. So it's up to Atlanta to respond. And they got a tough pitcher to try to do it against, but the Nationals are playing with a ton of confidence against the Braves.
The Nats 42-34 on the year. 2.5 game lead over the Mets in the East. It's bounced foul out of play. It's 1-2 to Robinson. Washington has scored 77 runs now in their last 16 games, counting the 2 tonight. That and overwhelming pitching is why they've won 11 of 15 games. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Miller thought it was good enough, so did Brzezinski. He held it there for a moment.
It's about the third time here in the top of the first that AJ's done that.
So now a full count. Ramos will get a head start at first. There he goes. And the pitch popped back toward us. Amazing thing about the Washington club, they really haven't had their team together all year from an offensive standpoint. Harper's missed time. Zimmerman's missed time. Rendon's been out virtually the entire year. Span had the back problems. Ian Desmond's been lost at the plate and in the field at times. Pitch. And tapped foul at the plate. There was a story in the Washington Post today about how Matt Williams is really proud of his role players, his bench players, the extra men who've really stepped up and done great work for the Washington club. Jason Worth, another man that's missed a ton of time for them.
Yeah, they've really had guys step in and play every day.
That's hammered down the right field line. Markakis is not going to get it. Clint Robinson's hit a 2-out 2-run homer. It's 4-0 Washington.
Like a hanging breaking ball. First 3-2 pitch he threw to him, he fouled it off, and then he tapped a 94-mile-an-hour fastball straight in the ground foul. But this slider here, ow, right into his wheelhouse.
On the 8th pitch of the at-bat, Robinson hits his 3rd homer. And the Nationals lead 4-0. This is Ian Desmond. Desmond hitting just .225. He has had trouble making contact. 269 at bats. He has struck out 85 times.
Only the 5th home run allowed by Shelby.
And his first this month. One ball, 2 strikes. And that's tipped and caught, and that'll end the inning. Shelby Miller had 2-out trouble. A single to Ramos and a 2-run homer to Clint Robinson, and the Nationals strike for 4 in the first. They've surrendered 4 in the top of the first inning to the Nationals. Jordan Zimmerman will go to work, and here's the Atlanta Braves starting 9 as presented by skipper Freddie Gonzalez and our friends at Academy Sports. Jace Peterson, Cameron Maybin, Nick Markakis the first 3. AJ Brzezinski, Juan Uribe, Kelly Johnson 4th, 5th, and 6th. Joey Tardoslavich will play first base. Simmons will be the shortstop. Shelby Miller will pitch and hit ninth against Jordan Zimmerman, who was scintillating last time out against the Braves.
Out of Auburndale, Wisconsin, 6th year in the big leagues. He'll be a free agent at the end. 29 years old, 6'2", 225. Take a look at these numbers since 2013. He doesn't get a lot of accolades because he's kind of in the shadows of some of the other starters for this ball club, but in the top 10 and several important categories, top 5 in some others, including wins. He's a good pitcher and went 8 shutout innings against the Braves his last start on June 24th.
So let's hope what was true for Shelby Miller in the top of the inning is true for Zimmerman in the bottom half of the inning. He's facing the Braves in back-to-back starts. And his first of the night in for a strike to Jace Peterson. Desmond at short. Gloves, grabs, and guns to first in time, and there's the first out. If there is an Achilles heel for the Washington club, it would be their defense. Most notably, shortstop Ian Desmond. 17 errors for him at shortstop. Espinosa, maybe their best defensive shortstop, but he's playing second base because Rendon is hurt. Robinson in for Zimmerman at first. You know, Escobar has been a revelation at third base. And a go-get-him outfield of Taylor, Span, and Harper left to right. Strike to Cameron Maybin. Another tapper up the middle. Espinosa to his right. Quick release. 2 out.
Well, one of the things Zimmerman can do now with a 4-run lead is pound that fastball, and he's got a good enough fastball to do it. He sits 93 to 95 with a slider, and it's a good hard slider. He is certainly in the so-called catbird seat right now.
And 2 quick outs brings Nick Markakis to the plate. Nick has swung the bat well against the Nationals this year. 13 hits in 37 tries. It's a .351 mark. The Braves offense, as you know, shorthanded without Freddie Freeman. No timetable yet for Freeman's return. And offense has been a problem. The Braves have scored 10 runs in their last 6 games.
Zimmerman just shook off a sign, fired another fastball down the middle.
And that's slicing out a play to the left. And it'll bounce into the seats. It's 0-2.
If he were a sinker baller like Pfister, who pitches tomorrow, things are a little different. Pfister can't afford to just throw the ball down the middle. At 93, 94, 95, Zimmerman can with a 4-run lead.
Out of play to the left. 8 pitches, 8 strikes from Jordan Zimmerman.
And all fastballs, I believe.
Off-speed pitch, and Markakis took it. And it's a very easy inning for Jordan Zimmerman. He threw 9 pitches, all of them strikes, and he has a shutdown frame. He leads 4-zip.
mulligan on that top of the first. I think Shelby would too, because it's very unlike him. Only 1 run allowed in his first 15 starts in the first inning this year. First inning tonight. And it really was the damage made by Ramos and certainly Robinson, but those hits came with 2 outs to plate what turned out to be 3 more runs.
So the assignment for Shelby Miller is the same assignment Alex Wood had a couple of starts ago. Stop them right there. Can't give them anything else. Took Shelby 28 pitches to get out of the first inning. And he's got the 8, 9, and 1 batters coming up here in the Nationals second.
Well, remember Tehran just 3 days ago. Tehran gave up 5 in the first. And went 6 innings, gave up 1 run in the 6th inning, but tried to do his best to hold that at 5.
Michael Taylor has been a terrific player for the Nationals. As Joe mentioned earlier, these fill-in players have not been in the lineup every other day, but every day. And Taylor, a real fast outfielder, is riding a 9-game hitting streak for Washington. He's knocked in 27 runs. Two of them came against the Braves up in Washington. And a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Taylor, Zimmerman, and Denard Span coming up. Good recovery by Miller. He struck out Taylor. That's his 3rd punch out of the game. And the Nationals leadoff man is the first out. And here is Jordan Zimmerman. He's knocked in 3 runs and is batting .148. I think one of the interesting storylines to follow with Washington as this season goes on is what happens with a man of the talents of Jordan Zimmerman. It's his free agent year. He's got more wins than any other Nationals pitcher in the Washington franchise history.
He's already had Tommy John surgery.
And with the money spent on Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg and Gio Gonzalez and Doug Fister, for that matter, who I think is also a free agent. What does Washington do? Do they let Zimmerman test the waters? They have a guy that we think could step into rotation very easily for the Nationals. That's Tanner Roark. Like him a lot. And a youngster, Joe Ross, Tyson Ross's brother, already has an 11 strikeout game and a spot start for Washington this year. Bouncer out towards second. Jace has that, and there's the second out. 2 down.
The reason a 4 spot, or in Pittsburgh the 5 spot in the first inning, is so damaging is that the Braves just don't really possess that quick strike ability. We all know that they can have big innings. We've seen them have big innings, but it takes a lot of hits to do that. They don't have Freddie Freeman, their leading home run hitter in the lineup. So to get 4 back over the course of the game, they're going to have to string a bunch of hits together, you would expect, against Jordan Zimmerman.
Well, to put that in perspective, the men in the top 8 spots in the Braves lineup tonight have combined to hit 27 homers. Bryce Harper has 24 by himself. Span singled to left, scored the first run, and takes a ball high. 1 ball, 1 strike. That one in at the belt. 1-2. And Shelby Miller struck him out. And that gives him 4 in the ball game. 4, 5, and 6 up for the Braves, down 4-0 in the second.
Braves trail the Nationals 4-0, and Freddie Gonzalez was able to give us an update on Freddie Freeman earlier today, saying sounds like it's going to be a little bit of an extended stay on the disabled list. No exact timetable, but he will not be free to come off of the DL on Friday when he's in fact eligible, simply because there hasn't been much improvement to that wrist injury. They've been trying different treatments. They're hoping something will do the trick. Freddie Gonzalez said Freeman has been great as far as going through the treatments, not missing any. He's, of course, frustrated, but he understands it'll take time, and he's pushing through to get better any which way he can, guys.
Thanks, Christina.
He's wearing a brace or flexible cast of some kind on that right arm.
There's hoped he'd be back by the Phillies series. That's not going to happen, apparently. So AJ Pierzynski and the boys will have to pick up the slack if they can. AJ, Uribe, and Kelly Johnson are coming up. Zimmerman got the Braves in order in the first. And out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. Freddie had a couple of cortisone injections, or at least one of them, I should say. I know one. And also the PRP, the platelet-rich plasma injection, to try to speed the healing in that right wrist. But he's not ready to go yet. And there's a shot to right. And that one is over the head of Harper, who played it off the wall and got too close to the baseball. No trouble for AJ Pierzynski. He doubles, and that's the first Atlanta hit of the game.
Boy, that was some great use of his hands. Wasn't a big swing, but he just let his hands do the talking here. They tried to go upstairs with a fastball, and look how quick he is on this pitch and getting the barrel to it. That ball jumped. One too many fastballs that time.
12th double for AJ Pierzynski. First Braves hit, and here's Juan Uribe. A strike. It's 0-1. Uribe hitting .298 as a Brave. Those are his numbers combined with the Dodgers and the Braves. Oh, and 2. Well, Porter deflected that toward the Nationals dugout. It's 0-2.
If it takes catching up 1 run at a time, then the importance of fundamentals and getting that guy over to third base here still applies.
That was the first pitch Jordan Zimmermann threw that wasn't a strike. Started the game with 15 strikes in a row. And he's 16 out of 17, and that's his second strikeout. So Uribe can't move Przinsky to third. Let's see what Kelly Johnson has in store. Of all of the Braves hitters in the lineup tonight, Kelly Johnson has had the best luck hitting against the Washington staff. This is Kelly's 18th game since coming back from his oblique problem. He's batting .269 in that stretch. And his good work against the Nationals is our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot feature.
He has a .407 average and a homer, double, 6 RBIs against the Nats. Went 4 for 9 in that series, or excuse me, 5 for 14 in that series in Washington.
Popped up. It's playable for Desmond. And Ian has it. 2 out. Mentioned a couple of times that incredible scoreless streak by the Nationals starting pitching staff that ended Friday against the Phillies. Officially 48 complete innings. Second longest in the big league since 1961. And ironically, it was Max Scherzer who was the man on the mound when that streak stopped, and he's the guy that almost had the perfect game. Actually was perfect into the 6th inning before the Phillies got a hit and then eventually scored a couple of runs. And we will see Max Scherzer here on Thursday night.
Did you say it was the longest or second longest?
Second longest.
Who had the longest?
It was the Baltimore Orioles.
I would have guessed like in late 60s, early 70s.
Early 70s.
That great staff they had, where they had 4 20-game winners.
Oh, and 2 for Joey Turdoslavich, and right off the knuckles into the seats. I never saw a game at Old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. What kind of park was that place? The old home of the Orioles.
It was okay. Nothing special. Nothing stood out about it.
And was it a
low bowl? I mean, it didn't go all the way around. Stopped around about as far around as what you see here at Turner Field in right field, and then you could see houses out behind center field, you know, a block away.
Did it favor pitchers? I mean, was it a great pitchers park? Was it just a?
I think it was fair. It was real short down the lines, as I recall, right to the foul poles, but then curved back. Always in good shape, immaculate shape. The field was. Let's just say when they moved to Camden Yards, they went a step up or 2.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes is off the plate. Braves will be making a trip to Camden Yards later this summer. We'll be in Baltimore in late July. The all humidity road trip at St. Louis, at Baltimore, at Philly. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that one slapped toward Taylor in left near the line. He's got it. And that'll retire the side. That tells you about how the Nationals are pitching. Zimmermann works around a leadoff double and maintains a big lead.
Fox Sports celebrates 50 years of the Atlanta Braves.
4-0 Washington. A couple of 2-out run scoring hits by the Nationals against Shelby Miller in the opening inning. Time for tonight's AT Ubers trivia question. Who holds the Braves record for best career ERA in the month of June with a minimum of 230 innings pitched?
Got some choices there.
You bet. Shelby's ERA this month 2.97, 0-1 record. As the Braves haven't scored for him. He's down 4-0 tonight. One hit of support so far. It's Espinosa, Escobar, and Bryce Harper for the Nationals in the third. There's a good hook. It's 0-2.
If you want to look at an area where you're trying to figure out why is Shelby Miller still with only 5 wins, you only have to go back to his last start since his last win and figure out that he's had 9 total runs scored for him in 7 starts while he's been in the game. 9 total runs of support. And 4 of those games went 11 innings where he did not get a win. It's not so much on the bullpen. I mean, it's not like he had a lot of leads and the bullpen gave it up or anything like that. Consecutively, he left in a 2-2 game, left trailing 1-0, left trailing 4-1, left leading 3-1. That one was given up, that lead. Trailing 3-1, trailing 4-2, trailing 1-0. Nothing to work with.
10 earned runs allowed by Miller before tonight's play in his 5 June starts. And that one will drop in front of Andrelton Simmons. Great hustle to get to that baseball, and his throw to second holds Espinosa at first. And guess what? Espinosa is up to his old tricks. He's 2 for 2.
Now that one was different. Remember the pitch down and away that he hit to the gap. He put a good swing on it. That fastball was rising and he just fought it off.
With Ryan Zimmerman hurt, Yunel Escobar is the active team leader in double plays for the Nationals. He's hitting to 11 of them.
You mean to tell me Ryan Zimmerman and hit into more?
10 active players. He's
okay.
Hurt. But those are the 2 guys that are made to order double play candidates. In fact, in the series up in Washington, Escobar hitting 4 double plays against the Braves in 3 games, and he's going to try to bunt. Uribe, bare hand, won't have a play. So the third inning starts the way the first did, with back-to-back Washington hits.
It was a nice bunt, primarily because when it hit, it just stuck in the grass. The only chance Uribe really had was to maybe let that roll and see if it would have gone foul. It had a lot of spin on it.
Shelby saved his best pitches for Bryce Harper in the first inning, struck him out with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He'd like a similar result here. 2 on, nobody out, 4-0 Washington. High fly toward left. Kelly Johnson is there and makes the catch. Tagging and moving to third is Espinosa. Escobar also tagged up and moved up. Productive out for Bryce Harper.
He takes such a big, violent swing at every pitch. You rarely, if ever, see him, get fooled and take a one-handed check swing type swing. Everything is hard.
Not sure if Kelly had it to do over again. He would have tried to throw that ball in towards second to keep the double play in order. But 2 runners move up, and the infield comes in for Ramos, who had the first 2-out run scoring hit of the game in the Washington first. And that's low, ball 1. That's headed for the upper deck, off to the right, and the count even, 1-1.
Ramos got a fastball down the middle for that RBI single in the first inning. I still think you can pitch him up. You can pitch him above his hands and get him to chase. I'll tell you this much, those guys, he's not a dead pull hitter, but if you're Juan Uribe 90 feet away, Wilson Ramos looks closer than that. He's a big guy.
Six feet tall, 230 pounds. And a shot towards short. Contact. Espinosa in a run down between third and the plate. Bad throw by Brzezinski. It's down the left field line, and a run is in. It's 5-0. Fielder's choice, E2.
I'm not sure what AJ was trying to do there. Uribe was inside the line, but the throw went to foul territory. Just a mistake. Costly one.
So instead of a second out, it's second and third again with a 5-0 score. And here's Clint Robinson.
That's not a play. That's not something that has caused the Braves problems this year. Making mistakes, beating themselves with mistakes like that. That's a rarity.
One ball, one strike. It's only the second error for Brzezinski all year. 1-1 pitch. And out of play foul. It's 1-2 to Clint Robinson. Robinson's from Northview High School in Dothan, Alabama, and Troy University.
You know, there were a lot of friends and family here enjoying that home run in the first.
Yeah, we could hear him from our seats in the press box down below us. 1-2 pitch. And 2-2. Swing and a miss. That's the second out. There's that high fastball Joe's been talking about. 5 strikeouts for Miller tonight.
Above his hands. And for a slugger like Robinson, they like that high pitch. They like fastballs especially. It's hard for them to lay off.
That brings up Ian Desmond. And a swing and a miss for Desmond. We saw these guys in Washington. The scouting report on Desmond was he's swinging at everything. Let's see if that holds true in his second at bat tonight. That knocked the umpire's mask off the head of Gabe Morales. It's 0-2. Two on, 2 out. 5-0 Nats. The pitch to Desmond is a swing and a miss, and his strikeout woes continue. 6 strikeouts for Shelby Miller, but Atlanta gives the Nationals a 5th run. The Nationals have begun the series with a bang. 4 first-inning runs. They've added a 3rd-inning tally. Now the Braves bat in the 3rd inning with Simmons, Miller, and Jace Peterson coming up, trailing 5-0 to the first-place Nationals. We've already seen in this series the ability of a team way down to come back.
Oh, yeah.
So still a lot of time left in this game. So see if Simmons can start a rally. He's batting .271 for the year. Nothing in 2. Hard to believe this is the final day of June.
Quick month, wasn't it?
You bet. Calendar turns to July 1st tomorrow night. As far as the Braves baseball schedule is concerned, Matt Whistler, Doug Fister will hook up in game 2 of the series. To second, Espinosa's got it. And Fister's getting the ball on the ground in good shape. Also in the glove of Wilson Ramos with a couple of strikeouts, 1 away from Miller. still have time to vote for your favorite All-Stars. The Esurance All-Star ballot is still online. Each team has to have at least one representative, and as we said in our opening comments, as well as Shelby Miller has pitched, being in the top 3 in ERA in the league, you'd almost certainly believe that Bruce Bochy will select him to be a National League All-Star. What you have to factor in too, though, is when does he pitch in relation to the All-Star break. As he's down on strikes. Third strikeout for Zimmerman, 2 away.
Every 5 days would have him pitching on the 10th at Colorado, which is a Friday before the All-Star game on Tuesday.
And the Nationals have a predicament. I don't think there's any question right now that Max Scherzer is the best pitcher in our league. He's pitching here on Thursday. Where does that place him as far as the All-Star game is considered?
The Sunday before the break.
So if he stays on turn, Max Scherzer would not be eligible to pitch in the All-Star game. So those are things that Bruce Bochy and the rest of the National League have to factor in when they round out their pitching assignments. Base hit by Jace Peterson the other way with 2 outs. And that'll bring up center fielder Cameron Maybin.
Good for Jace. He went 0 for Washington in that series concluded up in D.C. last week. So he's on the board.
Cameron Maybin bounced out to second his first time up, and he shoots this one toward Harper and right, and he'll make a sliding catch, and that will retire the side. Nice catch by Harper in shallow right. Maybin and the Braves are done in the 3rd inning. We head to the 4th. Washington has a big lead. It's 5-0. Thursday home game is college night. The next one's coming up this Thursday with the Nationals in town. Oh boy. Tickets $20 with $10 of added value included. You'll get to sit in the new college section. Students with a college night ticket also get to run the bases after the game and risk a chance of being humiliated like that guy. Don't miss out on these special nights at Turner Field. Space is limited. Go to Braves.com/college now.
The next time we run that promo, Brian, we just need to run that music from Chariots of Fire
with Dan, your friend Dan?
Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy Dorcas. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Michael Taylor leads off and took one way inside. 1 ball, no strikes. That's a great promo, though. Get the kids home for the summer, out to the ballpark. Great chance to mingle, see a ball game, and in the case of Max Scherzer, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Braves have not announced who their starter will be, at least not officially yet. We have some suspicions. But that will apparently be announced tomorrow officially by the ball club.
Wow, the Stanley Cup is here.
Well, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was.
Looks like Tommy's dad.
2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wind really blowing out now. Out toward the Braves bullpen.
We had a bad storm blow through here this morning, south of downtown toward the airport. I think caught some of the ballpark. I don't know if hail actually fell, but there was some predicted.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, after that trip to Pittsburgh, we've seen enough rain for a while as far as baseball is concerned. The 2-2 pitch.
Oh.
There's not many corners called tonight.
No. PNC Bank box track shows you, though, that Gabe Morales had that correct.
And it's a walk. So Taylor's aboard to start the inning. 3 out of 4 frames the Nationals have put their leadoff man on, and that gives Zimmerman a chance to bunt.
Two sacrifices to his credit so far on the year.
That's a strike. If the playoffs were to start today, this may surprise you a bit. The Washington Nationals have the 3rd best record among the division leading teams in the National League. Their first round matchup would be with the Pirates. Pittsburgh has the best winning percentage among non-division leaders in National League play. Then it's the Giants. Then it's the Cubs. Then it's the Mets.
Well, if the Pirates are the runner-up, the Pirates would have to win a game to get to that game. They'd have to play the number 2 wild card.
Correct. There's the bunt. And the peg to first in time. Good sacrifice by Zimmerman, his 3rd of the year. Pittsburgh's a really good team. Really impressed with their outfield. Starling Marte and Andrew McCutchen. And we didn't see A.J. Burnett and Garrett Cole. We've already seen Mr. Cole this year. And he might be a logical choice to start the All-Star game if Scherzer's not available. Denard Span, the hitter, with a runner at second. He's 1 for 2 with a run scored. Can't think of another hitter that takes his stance and approach to hitting a pitched ball like Denard Span does. He's standing straight up, and then as the pitch is made, goes into a, can't really say a crouch, but a deep knee bend.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Slow roller. Miller near the line, threw that one away. And he's asking if the ball was foul. Or perhaps he's asking for time.
No, I thought it sounded kind of funny, like there was a double tap. Maybe that's what he was asking.
Apparently it wasn't a foul ball. Didn't appear to hit the bat.
No, I know there's no double tap there.
Maybe Miller was just asking for time after he scrambled to his feet. So it's an infield hit for Span. Taylor's at third with 1 out. And that'll bring up Espinosa. And Christina reports from the dugout that Freddie Gonzalez was asking what Shelby Miller was asking. Was that ball foul? And the answer was no. So it is an infield hit. Runner at first goes. No chance for Przinsky. Span steals his 9th base. As we've said a couple of times already, in a season where the Nationals have struggled to keep their lineup together, got big time contributions from a lot of different people, including this guy in the batter's box. Danny Espinosa is a lifetime .228 hitter in the major leagues. He's hitting .258 right now.
You're talking about span stance, and I think the consistent thing you can see from just about every one of these Nationals hitters is an open stance. Now Espinosa's is more drastic than most, his and Ramos, but they have an open stance and then step back into the plate. And even Harper starts that way. Harper starts with an open stance, knees bend a little bit, and then steps in. There's Rick Shue, the hitting coach. I'm going to assume that that's part of his philosophy, just to get a better look at the baseball coming in, to see it better.
One ball, 2 strikes for the Nationals' second baseman, infield in. And I would assume that from a pitching standpoint, it'd be real tantalizing to pitch all these guys away, right?
Right. And you saw Espinosa cover the plate his first time up. You saw Span hit a pitch that was probably 4 or 5 inches off the plate, down and away.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
To me, I think if there's, like Espinosa's case, he's so open that when you come back to the plate, you better be ready to handle something inside. With all this movement and on this stride, if you want to call it a stride, but having to come back to the plate, you better be able to handle something inside.
Well, he's handled everything the Braves have offered him this year. He's 15 for 32 at the plate against the Atlanta staff. And that time he didn't get it. Miller struck him out with an off-speed pitch. Shelby already has 7 strikeouts tonight.
Backdoor breaking ball that was up, and the timing of it for Espinosa out on that front foot, he couldn't stop his swing, and upset with himself over it.
Now Escobar, the batter. A bunt single last time. Nell's had a very good year with Washington. It's also been a painful year. This guy gets hit by a lot of pitches.
Well, he stands way up in front of the box, but even he has that front foot back a little bit. He's up off his heel, but farther in front of the box than most major league hitters.
To short. Simmons loads up and throws a strike to first, and that ends the inning. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Markakis, Przinsky, and Uribe coming up.
your Atlanta area Mazda dealers. Driving matters.
It's 5-0 Washington. We head to the bottom of the fourth inning. You know, the great thing about Major League players is they make the difficult look easy. Well, baseball is a very hard game to play sometimes. Just ask our pal Jeff Francoeur the other day in Philly.
Had a little trouble with that play off the wall, and then he just couldn't quite get a grip on it, and then let her fly, Jeff. Well, it's good motion. It's certainly good form. And then it looked like he couldn't stop laughing.
He wasn't the only one. He's awesome. He's probably just tired from that 48 pitch relief appearance. As Nick Markakis goes to work. We'll see Jeff Francoeur and the Phillies this weekend. As you know, Ryan Sandberg resigned as the Phillies manager. Andy McPhail's been brought on as the new team president. Will officially assume those duties when the season is over. He's going to evaluate the ball club over the next few weeks. And word out of Philadelphia today, Pete Mackanin, who was the interim manager, supposed to be the interim manager for this homestand, is apparently going to remain in that post the rest of the year for Philadelphia.
Pete's a good man.
He is a good man. I think he's been an interim manager now in Philly, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati.
I think you're right. Nick Markakis, the first guy tonight that Jordan Zimmerman hasn't thrown a first pitch strike to.
Nick's not sure he threw a second strike there.
PNC Bank tells us right at the top of the zone.
Popped up. Escobar and Ramos. It'll be Escobar in foul ground. And there's the first out in the Braves' fourth inning. There's Brzezinski. He has one of the two Atlanta hits tonight. As Joe mentioned, the Braves got to find a way to beat the Nationals. Atlanta's 1-8 so far against the division leaders. After this series concludes between the Braves and Nats, Washington has the Giants and Reds at home, and then they'll go down the Beltway to Baltimore for a series right before the All-Star break. AJ trying to bunt with a shift on, fouled away. It's 0-2.
It's funny, after the first, with the first pitch, Desmond was over closer to third base and pretty shallow, and when AJ swung and hit the foul ball, Desmond thought, okay, well, he's not going to bunt, so he backed way up at his normal position at shortstop, and sure enough, AJ noticed that and tried to drop it down.
That's high, a ball and 2 strikes. Rolled to the right side into the shift. Espinosa will charge in from the outfield grass. He made the play on the dirt. He had to cover a lot of ground, and AJ's retired for the second out. And here's Uribe. That's out of play, foul. Strike one for Juan Uribe. Jordan Zimmerman, as Joe said, maybe overlooked with big names in the Washington rotation. You do so at your own peril, and you do so at your own peril in this park.
Yeah, 3 walks, 26 strikeouts, not too shabby. 3 starts here. He's got a good live fastball. We told you that, and certainly when he's got the lead, he can use it more and more. But it is a real hard slider that he throws too. His first strikeout of the game, he got Markakis looking because he'd been pounding the zone with fastballs, but that slider was like that, hard and nasty.
And his first 15 pitches were strikes tonight. And as you see, first pitch almost perfect as well. And he's got a 5-run lead. 1-2 count. And that's in the air towards Span in center. He broke back. Now he's got to come sprinting in, and he won't get there. Bernard was fooled on that ball to center. Uribe's got a 2-out hit. His first hit of the year against Washington.
And that was a slider, and Uribe picked that right up off the dirt and kind of flipped his bat at it, and that's what fooled Span. He thought the ball jumped off his bat. It didn't. Bloop drops in.
Kelly Johnson's 0 for 1. He popped out his first time up. And he rolls one out of play. Mentioned the Pirates a moment ago. They're in Detroit. Great matchup at Comerica Park. Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander in game 1 of that interleague series. And the Pirates have jumped in front 3-0. That's toward Taylor in left, near the line, foul ground, plenty of room, makes the play, and that will end the Atlanta 4th. No runs, a hit, a man left. We're off the 5th. Don't talk with your mouth full. See, she knows.
It's like a good dog, though.
You bet. And off we go to the 5th inning. It's Bryce Harper. Harper 0 for 2. This is game number 77 for Washington. Harper's playing in his 71st. And I would assume with his huge numbers that he's put up, he's right now their most indispensable offensive player. And he's had some leg issues to deal with. Knee and hamstring woes.
There's that open stance I was talking about before, too.
And he lashes that ball toward the gap in right center field. Maben will try to cut it off. He will. Harper's chugging for 2. Cameron's throw is too high, and Bryce Harper hustles in with a leadoff double.
His legs look just fine there. High breaking ball. and teed off on it into the gap.
We gave Harper some heat up in Washington on a play where he didn't run hard.
Didn't run.
Yeah,
he didn't even run.
Can't argue with the effort of Harper on that play. 17 doubles for him, and he's in scoring position for Ramos. Little looper past first, and that's going to bounce foul. It's 0-1. Wilson Ramos is the Nationals' all-time leader in home runs as a catcher for the Washington club. It's at 53 of them. Wind blowing straight out for Wilson Ramos. Pitch. It's 0-2. Strike three to Ramos. Out number one.
You mentioned that play up in Washington, Chip, and then we just saw Bryce Harper really hustling that double in the gap. Well, this was a fly ball in the third inning with runners aboard. He hit it deep to left. Kelly Johnson caught it. Wasn't near the line. Wasn't a foul ball. And he didn't run. He didn't even get out of the dirt circle. And if you want to know why people boo him when he goes to other cities, that's because he only plays hard when he wants to play hard. He only runs when he has a chance, like he did a minute ago, to stretch a single into double. So any excuses people make for him about, well, he's got a bad hamstring or he's got a bad knee, I didn't see any signs of it when he went first home to second on the double. But man, when he dogs it like that and doesn't run out fly balls, that's a horrible example.
And I didn't see it. I was watching the track of the ball. Didn't even notice that Harper just stood there.
It's just brutal. I don't know how he gets away with it.
You know, Joe DiMaggio in the old days was asked why he played so hard on every single play. First the pitch to Clint Robinson. Not sound old-fashioned, but maybe it is a bygone era in professional sports, not just baseball, but in all of them. Joe DiMaggio's response was, because there might be somebody in the stands who's never seen me play before. And I want them to know that that's how I play the game. Bryce Harper's too talented to do what he did in the third inning on a consistent basis. Ball four outside to Clint Robinson. 2 on, 1 out.
Look, I'm not saying he needed to sprint to first on a fly ball, but he needed to run. What if Kelly drops it? What if he lost it somehow?
That was my grandfather's pet peeve.
But I'm just, it happens more and more and more with this guy. The more we see him, he's the, one of the acclaimed players in the game. He's one of the figureheads for Major League Baseball in terms of one of its best players. And for a guy not to play hard at all times ought to be a bit embarrassing for him and his organization.
That's off the glove of Brzezinski. Runners move up 90 feet. One ball, no strikes. Harry used to say, they pay you to run hard 4 times a night. That old guy had a lot of wisdom, didn't he? 1 ball, no strikes for Ian Desmond. Here's a spot where he's really struggled for the Nationals this year. Hard to believe that Ian Desmond has 9 hits all year with runners in scoring position. 9 of them. And is hitting 130 in these situations. 1 ball, 1 strike, 5-0 Nationals. Infield in for Desmond. That buzzed the tower inside. 2 balls and a strike. Ryan Kelly's up in the Braves bullpen. He and Jake Brigham, amazing stories for the Braves. Once they come in, we'll tell you about how persistent they have been in following their big league dream. And Eveland is up as well. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Be nice to see Shelby get out of this jam, just like he did last inning. Did it with a strikeout and a ground out last inning.
Strike 3 to Desmond.
That was a Jason Grilli pitch. That was a slide step fastball that may have really surprised Desmond.
Who's got the hat trick. 3 strikeouts for the National shortstop.
That was not a high leg kick. Boom.
9 strikeouts matches Miller's season high. He set that April 30th against the Reds. His career high is 13 strikeouts. And if I'm not mistaken, the night he struck out 13 men in Colorado, gave up a leadoff hit and then retired the next 27 guys.
I believe that's right.
The Braves will walk Taylor. Pitch to Zimmerman with the bases loaded. Four in the first for Washington, 1 in the third, and Roger McDowell out for a chat. That'll give the pen a little more time to work. It'll give Shelby a chance to gather himself as he readies to make his 100th pitch. Fans, next time you're at the ball game, stop by the Braves Game Used Store here at Turner Field, located on the terrace level. The Game Used Store offers game used baseballs, jerseys, bases, lineup cards, autographed collectibles, and more. Ask a sales associate about a game used baseball from that day's game you attend. Braves Game Used Store. Take home a piece of the game tonight. Zimmerman has 3 RBIs this year. And a strike. It's 0-2.
Finish with a flourish. Shelby spot due up third this inning. If this is his last inning, finish it with your 10th punch out.
He did. And that'll end the inning. Washington loads the bases, but Miller strikes out the side and works around a leadoff double. Home fifth, 5-0 Nats.
day.
Well, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SouthDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. That's brought to you by our friends at T-Mobile. Shelby Miller struck out 10 men in his 5 innings, but unfortunately a 4-run first derailed his night almost before it got started. Amazingly, Joe, the Nationals now have scored a first-inning run in 27 games this year. They've won 21 of those.
That's really impressive. That many times. That's a credit to Denard Span and anybody else that's at the top of the order, but especially to him.
And that's why those early runs that the Braves have given up against Washington have loomed so large in the head-to-head series this year. Just haven't been able to slow them down before all the fans got their fannies in the seats. Here's Trdosanovic. It's 7, 8, 9 men up for Atlanta. Andrelton Simmons, and then a Braves pinch hitter will follow. Zimmerman's been effective and efficient. He's thrown 56 pitches, only 12 out of the strike zone. In the air toward left, and Taylor's going to have a play. He makes it, 1 out. Joey's flat out to left twice. And here's the Braves shortstop, Andrelton Simmons. And a strike for Andrelton, 0-1. Phillies are in town next. They're losing at home to Milwaukee tonight, 2-0. And a base hit for Andrelton Simmons to left. That's the 4th Braves hit.
Jordan Zimmerman's had a little bit of an up and down year when you look at his ERAs. Started slow, but then a great month of May. In fact, from April 29th through June 2nd, he went 4-0 with a 1.88 ERA to get back on track. But then he's gone 4 starts without a win. Beg your pardon. No, he did not get a win. He got a no decision in the last start against the Braves. So 4 starts without a W.
This is Yuri Perez. He pinch hits for Shelby Miller, who gave up 8 hits, 5 runs in 5 innings. Shelby struck out 10, walked 3. The 9th inning in Pittsburgh on Sunday was a little more exciting than we hoped it would have been, as Harper in right makes the play. With Jason Grilli on the mound, Jordy Mercer in the batter's box, a deep fly ball to left center field, and a collision almost turned into calamity.
And he got a hit right into the chest and was down on the ground for quite some time, but had to come out of the game.
Braves held on to win 2-1 at PNC Park. And now Peterson hits and takes a little low. 1 ball, no strikes. Fouled straight back. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Cubs are in New York playing the Mets tonight. Jonathan Neese, Kyle Hendricks, the pitchers at Citi Field. 1-0 Chicago in the 6th. Marlins lead the Giants 4-2 in Miami. It's Matt Latos and Ryan Vogelsong. These are important starts for Matt Latos. He might be a logical trade candidate for the Miami Ball Club, especially with Jose Fernandez nearing his return in a couple of weeks.
Tough night for Shelby, but really just, I think, 2 batters. Could have gotten out of the first with 1 run being allowed, and instead it turned into 4.
And it's now 5-0 Washington after 5. Miller's night is done. We'll see who comes out of the Braves bullpen next. Debut tonight, and he's our Zaxby's indescribably good play.
And rightfully so. 6'3", 190, out of Winter Garden, Florida. Lives now in Ocoee, Florida, and Central Florida Christian Academy. 9 years, folks. Almost 900 minor league innings, and boy, was he pitching well at AA Mississippi. His last 4 starts there, he'd gone 3-1 with a 1.13 ERA and was 6-3, 3.05 overall before he was called up to Gwinnett. AJ out there to try to help him relax a little bit. You should be proud, folks.
Let's see. How old is Jake now?
27, I think.
27 years old. And he's facing the top of the order. And his first big league pitch is up and away to Denard Span. 1 ball, no strikes. Remember, the first 30 games this year, the Braves had 7 pitchers make their big league debuts out of the Braves bullpen. After A.J. Brzezinski caught Matt Whistler here the other night, went up and asked him, how many guys have you caught in your major league career that were making a major league debut? And A.J. said, a lot. And a lot this year. There will be more to come as Hickam delivers his first major league strike.
Jake was in the Pirates organization last year.
the road trip. Christina interviewed Jacob and asked him what his reaction was when he got word that he was getting called up, and unapologetically he said, "I cried." Fly ball to left. He's going to retire his first big league hitter, Denard Span. What an amazing story of perseverance and love of the game for a guy like Jake Brigham. He's in the baseball encyclopedia forever now.
Yes, he is.
Major league pitcher. Danny Espinosa bats. Another chance in left. And a diving try. Kelly Johnson can't get there. The ball's off the heel of his glove, and Espinosa in at second. He stands there with one out. That's double. Espinosa's 3 for 4 tonight.
Well, whether it's Espinosa or Rendon, one of those guys, whoever's playing, gets 3 or 4 hits a night against the Braves. That ball was just sinking in front of Kelly. He never actually got the glove on it to have a chance to catch it. It short hopped him.
Escobar a bunt single in 3 tries. Fly ball to right. Markakis will have that one easily. Espinosa tags. He'll take third with 2 outs. So Jake Brigham, the 24th different pitcher to toil for the Braves this year. Ryan Kelly could be the 25th man, and potentially a 26th man will join us on Thursday for the series wrap-up. Two outs for Harper. Runner at third. The pitch. Ground ball to first. And an easy pick. Jake Brigham. A scoreless big league debut.
Major League debut. We're sitting with his mom, Robin, right now. Tears coming out of your eyes as well as they were Jake's when he got the call up. Tell us what this moment was like for you.
When he got caught, this moment, unbelievable. A dream realized for Jacob in his life. He has been in the minors for 9 years, and of course we've watched him play every game from Little League all the way up to high school. And this is just the most unbelievable thing. I have done nothing but cry since Friday when he got the call up. He's worked very hard. He's persevered. So many would have given up, and he has not.
Tell us a little bit more about him and just the character of someone who couldn't fight through it like that and finally make this debut.
And he has. He had Tommy John 2 years after he started, and he fought through that, did all the rehab, didn't give up, and he just does have a very strong character, strong determination. And that's what it takes in baseball.
Absolutely. We're happy for you guys. Enjoy the game. Thanks for talking to us. Back to the booth, guys.
Thanks, Christina. That's not the first mom we've seen cry when a young man has made his Major League debut. I'll never forget Alex Wood's mom here at the ballpark.
It's
first pitch.
It's a team effort, you know, from the very beginning to see it come to fruition here. There's a lot of chauffeuring, a lot of laundry.
Oh boy, is there ever.
Most of all, there's a lot of encouragement.
Yeah. Even bats. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Little tapper. Zimmerman, bare hand play. Beautiful play. Got Cameron. 1 man out. I mean, contrast the career arc of Jake Brigham with that of Bryce Harper. And this is in no way, shape, or form an indictment of Bryce Harper. He's a supremely talented guy. But almost no time in the minor leagues for Bryce Harper. And that guy who retired him the first time he saw him, 9 years before he even got a sniff of the big leagues.
Yeah, you got to be happy for Jake. And for Ryan Kelly when he gets in.
1 ball, no strikes for Nick Markakis. He's got to find a way to solve these national starters. Right now, with Zimmerman pitching, their starting crew has run up 28 1/3 scoreless innings against the Braves offense. He's held Atlanta to 4 hits. And he's had every pitch working.
Zimmerman's barely getting his feet set. He's almost in his windup when Ramos gives him the sign. He's working so quickly now.
To left, and that'll get down for Markakis. He served that ball the other way. Nick has his first hit of the night. And A.J. Przinsky will be the batter.
Yeah, it's not like Zimmerman hasn't been giving up hits. We showed you those ERAs and a rough start. Coming into the game tonight, 92 innings, 102 hits, a .283 batting average against him. And he's given up some hits tonight. The Braves have 5. They just haven't been able to put anything together.
Approaching 9 o'clock on Tuesday in Atlanta. 5-0 Washington. The pitch to AJ is taken low. 1 ball, no strikes. That'll bounce off the top of the Braves dugout. Foul, even count. Little pop, middle of the infield. And Escobar in the shift will make the play. 2 outs. And Juan Uribe's up. Lined out of play foul. Strike one. Another good game to keep an eye on tonight is the White Sox and Cardinals. That's Chris Sale and Lance Lynn. Cardinals have won 9 straight games at home. Chris Sale, who has been one of the best pitchers of the American League, is going for his 8th consecutive game with 10 or more strikeouts tonight.
It's a pretty select company. I saw him in with the streak he's got going. Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, I think Tom Seaver have had that many consecutive 10 strikeout games.
They're in the 3rd inning, and the White Sox lead 1-0. A pop-up is handled behind the plate by Ramos, and the Braves are done in their half of inning number 6. We go to the 7th. All Nationals in Game 1. Nats have been very, very pesky this year. They've won 8 of 9 against Atlanta. And they lead 5-0 tonight. Thanks to Matt Coney and the best flight crew in the business. Our friends at Delta Airlines got us home from Pittsburgh safe and sound on Sunday. We'll see them this coming Sunday at the end of our homestand. Braves will head off to Milwaukee and Denver. And then it's the All-Star break. Jacob Brigham goes to work in the 7th inning. Gave up a hit in his first inning as a big leaguer. He'll face Wilson Ramos, who backs away from ball 1. Ramos had a 19-game hitting streak in the early weeks of the season. That's carried him to a .265 average this year. Didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think if you ask Brigham and you ask Ryan Kelly, you're going to hear some guys really compliment Dennis Llewellyn, the AA pitching coach, for the work he does for these guys and helps get them going, among others. And I know Terrell Jenkins in AA right now would tell you the same thing. Marty Reed at AAA, all these guys doing great work with these young pitchers.
And Tyrell Jenkins this weekend was 4-5, a 3.12 ERA. Touki Toussaint debuted with Rome yesterday. If I read his line score correctly, went 4 1/3 innings with 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, I think. Two-2 pitch. A little low, full count. Robinson's on deck. 7th inning. Washington set the tone in the opening minutes tonight. And a swing and a miss. There's his first big league strikeout. AJ got a new baseball. That new pill will head around the horn, and that baseball will go into the trophy case for Jacob Brigham.
3-2 breaking ball too. His fastball's been sitting in the low 90s. Good breaking ball.
I'm sure after a night of reflection for Jake Brigham, there'll be a lot more clarity as to how his 6th and 7th innings go tonight, or went. I'm sure this is all one big blur for him right now. Two balls, no strikes. And 3-0 for the Nationals' first baseman. A 2-run, 2-out homer in the first, capped a 4-run opening inning against Shelby Miller tonight. Full count.
Pretty good sinking action on that fastball.
Ground ball to second. He fell behind 3-0, and he's going to get Clint Robinson. 2 outs. Let's see if he can make it a perfect strikeout night for Ian Desmond. Ian has struck out 3 times tonight. Two.
After our trip to the all stratosphere press boxes, Washington and Pittsburgh, I feel like we're sitting right behind home plate tonight.
That's a little low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, at least we did the press boxes in the right order. Washington first. Pittsburgh feels close by comparison, and you're right. We're right behind the plate. Did he go? He went around, and Desmond strikes out for a 4th time. And that's going to end the inning. 2 strikeouts and the first 1-2-3 inning in Jake Brigham's big league career. He got Ramos swinging. He got Desmond on a check swing, and we head to the stretch. Unfortunately, partner, too many red hats on the summary tonight.
Well, there were too many red hats on the bases in the first inning. That's been the biggest difference in the ball game, was the 4-run first inning. They did it on 4 hits. And it was a 1-0 game until the 2-out hit by Ramos and then the 2-run homer by Robinson. Those were the big difference makers. And Jake Brigham, the high point for the Braves tonight, making his major league debut. He's gone 2 innings and he's actually struck out 2.
His spot is due 4th in the inning. And with that in mind, the Braves bullpen has gone to work. Kelly Johnson, Joey Tadosilovich, and Andrelton Simmons are coming up with the Braves.
And it's Ryan Kelly who's loosening up. Might be debut night.
There you go. That's high and tight. 1 ball, 1 strike for Kelly. Zimmerman works fast, throws strikes, changes speeds. He's been in complete control tonight. And he just retired Kelly on strikes. That's 5 punch outs for the Nationals right-hander tonight. 1 down.
A lot of off speed to Kelly, and he's been getting a steady diet of it.
That so-called book, it takes a nanosecond to get around the league, doesn't it?
Well, he's been around more than a nanosecond, so yeah, that book's been there.
Joey T is flied to left twice. He's going to fly to center on the first pitch he sees in the 7th inning. 2 out.
Zimmerman was a 2nd-round draft pick out of Wisconsin Stevens Point in 2007. His home road splits are not very good. The road trips, road games he's pitched in prior to tonight, a 5.4 ERA and a 3.38 average against him, but he's whittling on those numbers.
Strike 1 for Andrelton. And that missed inside, and even count. To the left side. Desmond made a nice play, a low throw, and Robinson dug it out, and that ends the inning. Off we go to the 8th. It's all Washington. Big league debut of Jacob Brigham, the highlight for the Braves tonight. 2 scoreless innings so far. And if you look closely on his baseball glove, you might see some embroidery. The names Taylor and Stella. Taylor is Jacob's wife's name. Stella is their daughter's name. Great catch by our camera crew tonight. And an unforgettable night for the entire Brigham family. 2 scoreless big league innings. A couple of strikeouts. He's got a chance to pitch 3 innings in his first big league outing tonight. He's had a good breaking ball. 0-2. That's outside. We were told when Brigham was called up in Pittsburgh that Mark Connor, longtime respected major league pitching coach and baseball man, called the Braves and called Freddie Gonzalez and recommended that Atlanta take a look at Jake Brigham. Reason being, Mark Connor recognized what the Braves were going to do. They were building for the future, needed some character guys in their system, needed some pitching depth in the organization. And Brigham came very highly recommended by Mark Connor.
Said he'll be a great mentor for some of those young pitchers you've put in the system.
And I'm sure an inspirational story too, in that you pay your dues, you do things the right way, you're going to get a chance with this organization. And at least to this point, Brigham's done that. Full count to Michael Taylor. And he chased a high fastball, didn't get it at 91 miles an hour. That's his 3rd strikeout. 1 down.
High and tight. Kind of like my haircut.
I like your haircut, by the way.
Hard to catch up to.
Jordan Zimmerman, the batter, and pops one out of play. Along with the Clint Eastwood of broadcasting, Joe Simpson, Chip Carey, Dave Laserbaker alongside too. Good to be back home. Out of play. It's 0-2. Great emotions coming up on the homestand. We've got Star Wars night coming up. We've got the 4th of July fireworks night coming up. 2 more with the Nationals. College night. And Zimmerman knocked to the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
All but one of those pitches that have been up and in have been breaking balls. That one was. There was one fastball a little tight to Ramos.
Slow roller right side. Jace Peterson to his left makes the play. 2 outs. Mark your calendars, fans, for Freddie Hugs bobblehead night, July 21st, when the Braves take on the Dodgers. First 20,000 fans through the gates get a bobblehead featuring Freddie Freeman hugging Johnny Gomes. Don't miss out on this limited edition bobblehead by visiting Braves.com/tickets to get your seats today.
See a little nick there on Johnny's nose. From that slide yesterday in Pittsburgh, where there was just nothing to slide on, just mud. Did a face plant.
Johnny's got double duty right now. He's got to stay prepared for the game, and he's also got to try to keep Freddie Freeman sane down there. You know, this inactivity is bothering Braves first baseman at no end.
Talking hitting.
Either that or martial arts or something. 2-1 to Span, and that's high. 3 balls and a strike. Another good night for the Washington leadoff man. 2 hits and a run. He's also stolen a base. Swung through that one and missed it. Full count. Span's playing in his 54th game. He scored his 37th run tonight. He's got 69 hits in 54 games. Full count pitch. Laced foul to the left. Hey, there you go. Good job. Fan snagged that foul ball away from that youngster and handed it over. Good work. Span walks. AJ thought it was pretty close. So did Brigham. First big league walk. And now Espinosa bats. He's 3 for 4. Was it a strike?
Let's take a look. PNC Bank box tracks. Above the zone. AJ tried to make it a little better than it was.
Espinosa's put 9 points on his average tonight. By the way, White Sox still lead the Cardinals 1-0. Baker tells us Chris Sale 6 strikeouts through 3 innings in St. Louis. Ball 1.
Not offering it as sinker. They've swung at it a couple of times when he's been behind in the count. Robinson swung at one that would have been ball 4. So did Span early in the count before he walked.
There's a strike. 2-1. It's evened up now to Espinosa. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's had a couple of different breaking balls. He's had a curve and he's had his slider. But to a left-handed hitter, and it's very effective to the right-handers so far tonight. The slider has been, but let's see if they try a backdoor breaking ball. Did, but it was up and he was able to fight it off. Espinosa came into the game 0 for his last 13. He was 0 for Philadelphia, and tonight he's 3 for 4.
Another 2-2 pitch. Not close, full count.
Make him swing it.
Runner goes. Strike 3 at the belt.
Big hook.
4 strikeouts for Jake Brigham in his major league debut, and more importantly, 3 scoreless innings of relief. Very impressive night. It's 5-0 Washington. TU versus trivia question tonight. Who holds the Atlanta Braves record for career ERA in June? Minimum 230 innings pitched.
I'll go with Maddox.
I'll go with John Smoltz. He's always the fallback when it comes to a pitching question. And it is Greg Maddox. Head away.
Off to a good start on the homestand.
We're just about back to the 500 mark in trivia this year. Been on a big hot streak. Pedro Siriaco will pinch hit for Jake Brigham. 3 innings of 1 hit, 4 strikeout ball. The Braves have struck out 14 Nationals tonight, but they're down 5-0. Swing and a miss for Pedro. It's 0-2. That young man's already got a souvenir baseball, his first major league strikeout. They'll get a copy of the scorecard tonight. As Pedro's down swinging for out number 1.
Boy, Zimmerman just still pounding the zone. 92 on that fastball is right there. Going right after him. He's pitched this way all night. 94 pitches. 73 strikes.
Starter streak now 30 1/3. Scoreless against Atlanta.
23 out of 28 first pitch strikes.
That'll work. Chase Peterson 1 for 3 tonight. A 3rd inning single. The Braves have 5 hits tonight. And out of play. They're in the 9th in New York. Cubs 1, Mets nothing. Miami 4-3 over the Giants in the 8th now. The pitch He was fouled at the plate. Paid crowd tonight, 23,961.
I thought it was more. Looks like more folks than that.
Upstairs, and that clipped Peterson on the way by. It's about the only mistake Zimmerman's made tonight. 1 on, 1 out.
Just brushed the back of his arm.
Strike one.
As evidenced by Siriaco's pinch hit appearance here in the 8th inning. With the injury to Freddie Freeman in games where both Kelly Johnson and Joey Turdoslovich are playing, the Braves are very right-handed on the bench. They have no one left-handed to hit. That's why you've seen Erie Perez and Siriaco called on to pinch hit tonight.
And as we told you, Freddie Gonzalez mentioned that it's unlikely Freddie Freeman will come off the disabled list when he's eligible with his wrist problem. To quote Freddie Gonzalez, quote, Freddie Freeman is not improving and they're trying a different treatment on him. As Joe pointed out, you see the flexible splint with faulty Velcro on Freddie Freeman's right hand. No balls, 2 strikes. And on a play. I don't know if we've ever gotten a technical explanation for what Freddie Freeman's specific injury is. Have they called it a bone bruise, or it is a bone bruise? So I recall Chris Johnson missed significant time with a similar injury. He hurt his arm, wrist on a slide, and that's looped over first, and that's just foul. 0-2. Notice who's not clapping. As Matthew Kaminsky, the Braves stadium organist, played, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. 0-2 count for Cameron Maybin. Here it is. In the air, well hit, span. Flat out sprint. Got there. 2 outs. Peterson retreats. And Nick Markakis the batter.
We talk about Denard Span's offense and what he brings to Washington as their leadoff hitter. May not talk enough about his defense. We saw him make a couple of nice plays in Washington. One backing up Zimmerman on a nice sliding catch. That was a really nice play on a low, hard hit line drive where he went back, didn't appear to take his eye off the ball, and ran to a spot where he thought it would come down and was able to turn around and backpedal into it.
Strike one to Nick Markakis. Zimmerman does not yet have a complete game for Washington. They have, however, thrown 8 shutouts. One ball, 1 strike. That's yanked into the seats and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Zimmerman now 107 pitches.
They've got a couple of guys loosening in their pen. Matt Thornton and David Carpenter. Zimmerman had 2 shutouts in 2013 and 2 last year.
Final in New York. Cubs beat the Mets 1-0. Joe Madden up to his usual outside the box tricks. He brought in a magician before the game to try to loosen the mood in the Cubs clubhouse. One-two pitch is sprayed to the left side. That's a hit. Braves have something cooking with 2 outs, first and second, and AT Przinsky is scheduled to hit.
Really surprised that Escobar was playing that far off the line for Markakis. Fastball up and away, and Nick usually can serve that one with some authority to left field, but even not knowing what pitch was coming, look how far off the line Escobar was there. First runner in scoring position for Atlanta tonight.
And it's the last pitch thrown by Jordan Zimmerman tonight. He was masterful.
First since the second inning, I should say. Przinsky had a double.
5-0. The Nationals right-hander leads. He'll get some help from the bullpen next.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
It's 5-0 Washington. The Braves threatening here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Don't forget, fans, please tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SouthDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Rowdy caps all over the ballpark. Matt Thornton is on to face AT Przinsky.
Hard throwing lefty with an excellent slider. He's been in 3 games against the Braves this year. 2 innings total and 1 run allowed. That was a home run to Maben.
Former teammates with the White Sox, Thornton and Przinsky. We'll see who has the advantage here in the 8th. A lot of folks in baseball were scratching their heads when the Yankees let this guy walk out the door last year.
Yeah, he's always had good stuff. He's been in 46 games with the Nationals since they got him off waivers, and he has a 1.50 ERA in those games.
Little roller right side. Espinosa's got it, and this game is headed to the 9th inning. 5-0 Washington. In game 1 of the series, Zimmerman continues to shine. made his big league debut tonight.
Yeah, he put up great numbers. Family was thrilled, of course, after a long march to get to the big leagues, and boy, did he pitch well. 1 hit, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts over his 3 innings of work. Great major league debut for Jake Brigham.
Mom and dad, friends and family happy. And so that's one dream fulfilled, and now it's time to fulfill another. Because Ryan Kelly is in his first major league game, and like Jake Brigham, he also has waited 9 long years to get to the show. Those are his numbers with Brian Snitker and Gwinnett. Excellent numbers for Ryan Kelly. He went to Walters State Community College in Tennessee, lives in Hilton Head Island. Braves signed him as a minor league free agent after the 2013 season.
Combined 15 for 16 in saves between AA and AAA this year. And how about a 1.15 ERA in 27 appearances? His fastball, we were told, in the mid-90s, sometimes up to 95. So congratulations to him too. Take it all in, Ryan.
So he'll face Escobar, Harper, and Ramos in the Washington ninth. No balls at a strike. And quickly 0-2. I don't know why, but when I see Kelly pitch, I see a little Tyler Clippard. A little bit over the top. And up the middle. Peterson can't get it. And Escobar on a 2-strike count has a 9th inning single.
Yeah, a little too good a pitch on 0-2. Now we'll get a chance again to see if Harper's going to run if he makes contact.
Ripped into right. Markakis will cut it off. And Harper has a second hit. Back-to-back singles for the Nationals. They're at first and third with nobody out.
High fastball, and the criticism I've levied at Harper tonight for not running is not the first time I've done that. But the sad part is he's such a great talent. You just hate to see him do things that way, go about his business that way, because he's so good. It brings him down several notches.
Wilson Ramos bats. He's got a hit. He's also struck out twice. And it's 0-1. On one hand, you could say, well, again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. He's still a young man. And that's partially, that's true. Bryce Harper is. He's only seen 1 or 2 pitchers in his major league career younger than he is. But he's been in the big league since 2012. He ought to know better. Out of play. Right side, it's 0-2.
How old do you have to be?
I totally agree with you. I'm with you as well. This guy's one of the best players in the game. Oh, 0-2. or Ramos, the Nationals catcher. And that's a high hopper hit toward Uribe. He'll fire to second for one. And the turn to first is a double play. Escobar will score. A sixth Washington run, no RBI, the penalty for the double play. And there are 2 outs in the inning. Look, we're not trying to pick on Bryce Harper. I know you're not. I know how much you appreciate how talented he is. You've said as much. But for a game that's trying to teach young kids how to play the game the right way, and for a guy that's probably idolized by a lot of kids who watch this game, I hope Bryce Harper follows the Joe DiMaggio philosophy that I mentioned in our earlier comments. Play hard all the time. The rest will take care of itself. Oh, and 1 to Robinson. And high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Six nothing Nationals. And the pitch. 93 missed. 2-2. And a swing and a miss. That's Kelly's first big league strikeout. He got Clint Robinson to swing and miss. And it's last call for the Braves in the 9th inning. A couple of Braves debuts in relief tonight.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by Georgia Power and Zaxby's.
Third and dress up as your favorite Star Wars character to march in a pregame parade around the field. The only way to get the limited edition Jason Grilly Rebel bobblehead is by purchasing the ticket package, which gets you a ticket to the game and onto the field for the pregame parade. Only a handful of ticket packs are left, so visit Braves.com/Star Wars to get yours today.
Last call for the Braves, down 6-0, and former Brave David Carpenter is the new Nationals pitcher.
Been in 6 games for the Nats, 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. They gobbled him up real fast when he was placed on waivers by the Yankees.
Uribe Kelly Johnson and Joey Turdoslavich are coming up. Are hoping to avoid being shut out for a 7th time this year.
Carpenter's got to wonder, do I have to face Uribe every time I come into a game now? Faced them in game 1, faced the Braves and Uribe in game 1 in Washington. A third of an inning and got Uribe to fly out.
Pop fly slicing over the Braves dugout out of play. It's 2-1. There's a rope to left. Taylor will turn, and that ball is going to be out of here. A line drive homer for Uribe. And there goes the shutout.
One about like that. Was it a slider? Nope, fastball. I mean, loud. Just cleared the fence. A low rocket.
So it's a 6-1 game. Kelly Johnson fouls it back. It's a strike. That's the 11th run scored by the Braves in the last 7 games. Uribe's 5th homer, his 4th with the Braves. A line drive over the fence and left. And 0-2 for Kelly Johnson. Whistler and Pfister have a rematch here tomorrow night. Braves live 6:30. First pitch 7:10. Out of play.
Good cut there by Kelly.
Carpenter thought he had him struck out, didn't get the call.
David's still throwing hard. 95 on that pitch. PNC Bank will tell us, show us. It's at the bottom of the zone. For Uribe, his 5th homer.
And the 45th homer hit by the Braves team this year. Next closest team to the Braves is the Phillies, who had 48 at the start of play tonight. Phillies are tied 2-2 in the home 5th with Milwaukee this evening. Pitch number 9 is coming up for Kelly Johnson as we approach 10 o'clock. Here it is. And it's bounced into right. Back-to-back hits for the Braves. One thing we've seen about the ball club, Joe, is even on nights when the Braves don't score a lot of runs, they seem to rally and give us a finish. 8th inning and 9th inning. Some offensive action. We'll see if they can turn the lineup around in the middle of the order.
Well, 7 in the 9th would be a nice.
There you go.
Recovery.
They've got one of them back. And here's Trudaslovich. He's flying out 3 times. And fouled away a strike. Ball 1, strike 1. Two and two. Look at the Nationals ball club. They have overwhelming starting pitching. They have the makings of a devastating offense once they get things together. Drew Storen's their closer. I wonder if they might go out and try to get a little more relief help, middle relief help in particular, as we approach July 31st. High fly ball toward center. Span in left center gets there for out number 1. Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Tuesday, July 14th on Fox. And in mind, you might recall last year they had Tyler Clippard and they had Rafael Soriano along with Drew Storen in their bullpen.
And Craig Stammen.
Who's hurt. 1 out for Simmons. He's 1 for 3 tonight.
I read one report today, somebody just guessing at who might be buyers and sellers coming up, that if the Reds continue to slide, that they may put Aroldis Chapman on the block, and that the Nationals would be one of the teams that would be first in line.
Reds have some marketable commodities too. Would they dare trade Todd Frazier? How would he look in the Mets lineup? As they wait for David Wright and clarity with his bad back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Downstairs, 2-1. Johnny Cueto, another commodity that the Reds might want to move, but
they got to decide what they're going to do with him quickly.
And everybody wants to know how sound is that elbow. Two on pitch is fouled into the seats. 2-2. Marlins won. They beat the Giants. That's a 5-3 final. Matt Latos started that game. He might be as we mentioned, another man traded.
Braves are fighting off some sliders. Kelly fought one off, maybe 2. Hard slider there. Andrelton got a piece of, I think, because they're mostly up in the zone.
'24th pitch coming from David Carpenter. And Simmons fought that off. Fastball got him. There's the second out. 95 miles an hour and up.
Might have been a little frustration on that after all those foul balls to just air one out.
Chris Johnson will be the final hope for Atlanta.
As you know, Chris tearing up left-handers, a .412 batting average. Right-handers not so much, 140. Against right-handers, he's 8 for 57 with 3 doubles.
This is Chris's 14th pinch hit assignment. He's got 3 hits. And a pop-up behind first. Clint Robinson in foul ground is there. And the Nationals have beaten the Braves again. 6-1 is the final score. Washington now is 9-1 against Atlanta this year. Braves fall 7 games behind the first place team from Washington. And this one got out of hand early. It was 5-0 after 3. Uribe's homer, the only tally for Atlanta in the ninth. We'll recap it for you when we come right back.
Wow.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by the Georgia Lottery and Toyota.